What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler, and in today's episode of Building a $20 Sneaker Collection, we go to New York. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If this is your first time watching an episode from the Building a $20 Sneaker Collection series, I definitely recommend starting from the beginning by clicking the link at the top of the screen, which I think is actually over there, or clicking the link in the description below. But to fill you guys in on essentially what this series is all about, we started out with just a $20 bill, and we're slowly buying our way up to a crazy pair of hyped up sneakers like the Nike Mags, which by the way are currently reselling for $16,000, and that's not even the auto lacing version, that's just the standard version. I don't think we can make to 70 grand, so I'm just going for the lower end one. Still crazy, but not as much. And again, if this is your first time watching the series, you're probably thinking to yourself, how the hell is he gonna do that? That seems impossible. But let me tell you, it is definitely not impossible. What we started to do was go to Goodwills and thrift stores with our first initial $20 investment, started buying sneakers, cleaning them up with some Reshoevn-ator, and then reselling them on eBay and StockX and GOAT and places like that, and slowly building up our sneaker collection fund. At the end of the last episode, we had $240.99 in the sneaker fund, as well as a good amount of sneaker stock. And what's crazier is that over the weekend, we actually sold 2 different pairs of sneakers, and one of them sold for a lot of money. In fact, way more than I was expecting. I had asked a lot of money, but they gave me an offer that was like $10 less than what I asked, and I never expected to make that much, and now our sneaker fund is dope. So the 2 shoes that we sold were first the Youth Air Jordan 13s in pretty rough condition. We initially bought these shoes for $5.49 at Goodwill, and after sitting on the eBay store for like, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks. It was a long time. We were able to sell them for $6, which after selling fees and shipping and things like that, we were only able to add $5.90 back into the sneaker fund, which means we sat on these shoes for like 3 weeks for a 45-cent profit. I mean, you're gonna have wins and you're gonna have losses. This was definitely more of a loss than a win, although we didn't technically lose money. We just sat on a product that we didn't need, and it was a lot more effort than it was worth. And again, it was just me being too excited about finding a pair of retro Jordans in a thrift store. It was in such bad shape, I should have never bought it in the first place, but you live and you learn. But the next shoe that we sold was the big money maker, and that was the Air Jordan 12 Flu Games in a size 9.5. This was actually a shoe that I considered starting the sneaker collection with. I know up until this point, we have not actually added any sneakers into the permanent sneaker collection, but because the shoe was my size and it was a good sneaker overall and it was in great condition, I really considered it. So if you guys saw in the last episode, we actually picked up this pair of sneakers for just $70 at Plato's Closet, which I thought was a steal, especially because it was in such good condition. And even though I wasn't 100% sure about its authenticity, I was pretty sure it was legit, and I knew if I sold it through eBay and listed it for over $100, eBay would authenticate it, and so the person who bought the sneaker would not be getting a fake sneaker. They'd either be getting this sneaker or just nothing at all. And the good news is this sneaker did actually end up passing sneaker authentication and is on its way to its buyer, which I think is incredible. Oh yeah, and the most important part, we ended up selling this pair of sneakers for $180, which is kind of an insane amount of money. The sneaker was in good condition, and I do think it was worth that price. I originally had this shoe listed for about $190, and someone gave me an offer for $180, so huge thank you to them for basically adding so much money to the sneaker fund. And the best part is, because this shoe went through eBay sneaker authentication service, there was no selling fees, because currently there are no selling fees when you sell sneakers over $100 on eBay. And not only that, the buyer also paid for shipping, so after all was said and done, the shipping cost was a little bit less than what the buyer paid, so we ended up being able to add $181.05 back into the sneaker fund, which makes this shoe honestly one of the best come-ups that we've had so far. I think the Air Jordan 8 Phoenix Suns were a pretty big come up, but this shoe, man, this shoe blew my mind. But like I said in today's episode, we're actually going to be traveling up to New York City to do some thrifting in the Big Apple, which I'm super excited about. And we're also going to be meeting a special guest in New York City, so make sure to stay tuned for that, although you guys probably already know who it is from the thumbnail. Oh, and of course, before we dive into things, I want to give a huge thank you to the person who inspired this series, Retro Rick. If you guys have not checked out his $10 game collection yet, I definitely suggest doing that by clicking the link in the description below. But without further ado, let's head to New York.
Perfect.
So guys, I've made it to New York, and I found the one and only, well, not my one and only friend, but Tom Stefani.
That would be sad. You lived here for multiple years.
I know. Today, like I said, we are doing, I guess, a thrift store sweep of New York City.
This is fun.
Which should be a lot of fun.
I hope you know where the thrift stores are, because I don't.
I was kind of hoping that you'd know. Well, I've got some good news. Today, as of right now, the sneaker fund is at $422.
What?
I know. So we can buy regular price sneakers too if we find anything crazy. So I'm thinking maybe we hit Kith as well, and like some other places that might have some limited sneakers.
I don't know if this is against the series, but like you should go into resale stores and leverage your clout.
I thought about it, but I do feel like it's against the series a little bit. I feel like it's a little bit inappropriate, but I still think, you know, we'll still be able to find something good, at least better than Jersey and Philly, so.
I mean, I don't know if we can beat those flu games.
The flu games, I sold those for 180 bucks.
Wow. This is such an honor, Seth. I just want to say to be on this series. I watch it religiously.
Sweet,
I leave absurd comments on every single episode.
Comment on his comments.
I'm in it.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Sweet, man. Let's do it. Okay, so the first place that we went was that vintage store, and unfortunately, not only were they not open, but they also don't have shoes, so we didn't want to wait until it opened up. But we're headed to, what's the next spot?
Okay, so I think it's called L Train Vintage.
So right off the bat, I was pretty impressed with this store. There was a lot of sneakers in really good condition, like these Team Jordans right here. And what was really interesting is that all the sneakers were priced at just $30, which I've never seen before, every sneaker being the same exact price. But what really caught my attention was this pair of 4Ds. I believe these are 4D ZX4000s. Now this was a pair that when it first released, I believe was selling for around $300, which is kind of nuts, but we were able to find it here for 30 bucks in really good condition. Tom actually found this pair of, I guess, mashup Air Jordan 9s. They featured like a Air Force One outsole and an Air Jordan 9 upper, which was kind of weird. I obviously didn't want to take the risk on this because this shoe is nuts and I have no idea what it is or how much it's worth, so I just left that one for now. Continuing on, there were a lot of pairs of basketball sneakers, which didn't surprise me. Basketball is huge in New York City. And then the next pair of sneakers which I found were another pair of Pharrell tennis hues. I find these all the time for some reason. Now this pair came in a bright orange color, and of course it was priced at $30. Again, no idea why they did that. Some sneakers were definitely worth 30 bucks, other ones were definitely not. Then I found this pair of Jordan Futures in this, I guess, shattered backboard colorway. It wasn't bad, but for 30 bucks, just not worth it. Continuing on, there were some LeBron Soldiers. I found this pair of Air Maxes. I've never seen this pair before, an Air Max 97. I'm not sure exactly what the name of this sneaker was, but again, 30 bucks. Weirdest pricing structure ever. I think this shoe might have actually been worth it, but I didn't really know much about this sneaker, so I figured it'd probably only sell for like 40 to 50, $10 profit, probably not worth it. And then of course this weird pair of women's like high dunks, except with a raised, or I guess a platform heel, which is a little interesting. Seen those before, but not something that I feel like I should try and flip because I know nothing about those kinds of sneakers. But let me know in the comment section down below if I made a mistake. I continued to search all over the store because again, there was a lot of really great like big name sneakers, like a lot of Nikes, a lot of Adidas. I found this pair of LeBrons. I believe these were LeBron 12s, I think that they are. I'm not 100% sure, let me know in the comments. I'm pretty sure that they're 12s. I don't remember the name of this colorway, but it was in decent condition, just not something that I felt like had a lot of flip value, and again, 30 bucks. Tom found a pair of KD7s in a youth size, I believe. It was like a steel gray and infrared. I've never actually figured out the name of this colorway. I've seen it a bunch, but I never knew the name of this sneaker. Just didn't want to take the risk on it. And then I also found this pair of Air Max 270s, which I heavily considered because 270s sell pretty well, but it was just really yellowed. It used to be a white sneaker, but now it's just kind of a yellowish brown sneaker, so definitely a sit from me. I did decide to go with this pair of ZX4000s. They were a little bit dirty on the mesh, but not too bad. Nothing I couldn't clean up with some Rejuvenator, and a shoe that I think definitely has a good upside. Before I left though, I did find another pair of Air Max 270s in this all black colorway, which I thought was actually pretty clean. This was a shoe that I feel like I could flip relatively easily, but I don't know how much profit there was to be made there, and it was pretty heavily worn, especially on the air unit. That's not something I really want to mess with because air units you can't repair. If they pop, they pop, and that's it. You just need a new pair of sneakers. So I honestly just didn't want to deal with it. It just wasn't worth it for 30 bucks. So there was a couple different shoes that I was looking at, but I think the only ones that have like a really good upside are these 4Ds right here. So I looked on eBay and I was seeing a lot of pairs of these selling for like between 90 and 120, and for 30 bucks, that's not bad. Hopefully I can move these relatively quickly. And the thing is, I had $420 in the fund, so this just drops us to like $390, and I can still buy some new sneakers and a couple more vintage, not vintage, but like used sneakers. So I feel like it was good. Good first pickup of the day. Pretty good. So let's do the next spot. What's that gonna do? Good question. We'll figure it out. So the next spot we ended up hitting was Buffalo Exchange, which is very similar to Plato's Closet, and there's actually one in Philly as well. They had a pretty decent selection, but of course, like Plato's Closets, the shoes were priced relatively high. The first pair I checked out was this pair of, I think, Alexander Wang Adidas B-Ball sneakers. I forget the exact name of these shoes. Not a bad looking pair of sneakers, looked more like a skate shoe than a basketball shoe. Then found this pair of Kyrie's in this really nice purple colorway. I actually really dig this, especially with the translucent blue outsole. Very clean. but not really worth the price because it was priced pretty high if I remember correctly. I know I could look at the tag, but I can't see it in this camera for some reason. Then I found this pair of Converse Fast Break High Art of a Champions, which I actually was given a pair by Nike a couple years back, and this is a pretty decent sneaker. It's a nice looking pair of Converses. I think they were in good condition. Problem was they were priced relatively high and they just don't have really any resale value at this point, which is a little disappointing, but very clean pair of sneakers in a really nice colorway. Then Tom found this pair of what we thought at first was a pair of Air Jordan 8 Aquas, but in reality it was, I don't know what it was. I'm gonna be real. I have no idea what this sneaker was. I've never seen this before. I don't think it's a fake Jordan shoe. I just think it's a like Team Jordan of some kind, but let me know in the comment section down below. Then I found this pair of crazy explosive 2017s. We found these a lot at Plato's, but never wanted to pick them up. Okay, so we just left Buffalo Exchange, which I was expecting to be kind of like Plato's, but unfortunately there was not a lot in there. So I'm just gonna move on. Hopefully we find some more stuff. I'm pretty happy with the 40s though.
Yeah, I
feel like that was a good pickup. So
if they had the stock, I would have got 40 40s.
Oh, we're gonna hit up a street that has like 3 different thrift stores and hopefully find something else there. So, but I mean, to be fair, I guess just in general, when you're going to thrift stores, you find something good at least. Well, probably not that often. Usually when you go to thrift stores, you don't find that much, but sometimes you find that one gem, and I think the 40s might have been the gem of the day, but hopefully we find something else. We'll see. It's closed.
How do you support a business? Open 1 to 7, Tuesday to Sunday. No entrepreneurial spirit. So we stopped by one of my favorite spots in New York, Kith. Unfortunately, there wasn't really anything. I mean, there was some stuff that I really liked. We can't film in there, so I can't actually show you guys, but I really love some of their New Balances that they had. They had some silent New Balance restocks, which is pretty cool. Fortunately, none in my size. I would have bought that for myself. There wasn't anything that I saw that could be flipped for the series, so unfortunately, leaving Kith, but hopefully we find something else somewhere else. So we're gonna hit some more thrift stores and maybe some more retail stores, see what happens. Next up, we decided to hit up the Nike flagship store in Soho, which is somewhere I used to go to a lot when I lived in New York, but haven't been back in months. This store is one of those stores that you never know what you're gonna find. There could be something crazy on the shelf that just is still there for some reason, but unfortunately today it was not one of those days. There was a decent selection of Jordans, but as you guys might be able to tell, they were youth-sized Jordans, so they don't really have too much resale value. You had this pair of white 5s, you had this pair of, I guess, Celtics 13s. I don't remember the name of the sneaker. All good-looking shoes, but unfortunately, youth sizes with no resale value. Just down the street from the flagship store is Nike Lab 21 Mercer, which is one of my favorite Nike stores in the world. I found this pair of LeBrons. This was the Miami Knights pair, I believe, in, again, a youth size, so unfortunately not really any resale value there, but a nice-looking sneaker nonetheless. After that, found this pair of Gaiakasu Nike collaboration running sneakers. I believe it's the Zoom X somethings. I don't remember the exact name of these, but the colorways that they came in were pretty nice. You had this sort of like forest green brown color and then this red and black color. Not bad looking sneakers, but not something that really has any value. I was, however, surprised to find this pair of Fragment Nike Dunk Highs, which is actually a really nice looking pair of sneakers. Unfortunately, no resale value, but I did pick up a pair for my wife because they only had women's sizes. The next place we hit up was right next door, and that was Billionaire Boys Club. They had an incredible selection of Adidas sneakers, from Yeezys to Pharrells to all sorts of different stuff, but they were all priced at full retail, and none of these sneakers really have any resale value whatsoever, which is unfortunate. Especially this pair of Yeezy Quantums. I never expected to find Yeezys for retail in a store in New York. I mean, it's happened to me in the past, but not recently. Now, unfortunately, these are just Quantums. They don't have any resale value, and because I really like you guys, I decided not to make the title of this video Finding Yeezys for Retail in New York. Although it was true, it is a little clickbaity. So the next place we decided to stop was East Village Thrift, or East Village Thrift Shop is the official name. This store was definitely just a basement, and it did have a lot of sneakers in stock. However, unlike some of the other places that we went throughout the day, the sneakers were in pretty rough shape. Now, surprisingly, there was actually a lot of really decent sneakers, like, as you guys may have been able to spot, a pair of 11s. There was a lot of Nike running sneakers and some decent dress shoes, but again, condition wasn't incredible. And as I've learned from previous videos, condition in a lot of cases is everything. So I'm only gonna grab sneakers that I'm able to flip relatively easily and not have to do any major repairs to. Of course, when you find a pair of Air Jordan 11s in a thrift store though, whether the condition is good or not, you've got to at least check them out. Now, unfortunately, they were priced a little bit high. These are Air Jordan 11 Low Infrareds, and they also came in a GS size, which are a little bit harder to move. The condition wasn't great. As you guys can tell, the outsole was heavily yellowed and the patent leather was a little bit scratched up and creased, which means that this is not a shoe that I'm going to be taking any risks on, especially after those 13s and those 5s that we grabbed in some previous episodes. I'm going to leave these for somebody else who can actually rock them, but still an interesting find. Next up, I decided to check out this pair of Nike Reality
React Infinity Runs. So this is a recovery sneaker, and it actually was in a pretty decent size. I think it was a size 10, and it was in great condition for 18 bucks. Not a bad pickup. And React shoes usually sell pretty well. The same thing with Boost sneakers. There was this pair of white Infinity Run Reacts, which was a lot dirtier than the black pair, or maybe the same amount of dirty, but just in a colorway that showed it. So I decided to leave these ones for now. I decided to keep looking, and the first shoe that I found was this pair of Adidas. Now I have no idea what these are. They kind of look like the night joggers, but they're not. They had a Boost midsole, but because they were not a model that I was familiar with, I didn't want to take the risk because I think they were priced around 18 to 20 bucks, and I think they could probably sell for around that on eBay. I should have checked their SKU numbers on eBay just to double check, but I didn't, and I don't feel like I made that bad of a decision because I feel like they'd probably sit. I did find one of my favorite running sneakers of the last couple years, the Pegasus Turbos. This was in the original Pegasus Turbo colorway, I think the steel and orange colorway. Very, very clean sneaker, incredibly comfortable underfoot, but that shoe was in pretty rough shape. And then I found this pair of Adidas Ultra Boost 20s, which were in pretty rough shape, unfortunately, but a great sneaker overall and incredibly comfortable. And if these had been in better condition, I definitely would have grabbed these because these would be a pretty easy flip. Tom suggested I check out this pair of Brooks because he's watched all the other episodes in the series and knows that I think that Brooks sell well. Unfortunately, this pair was very, very worn and was missing a big chunk of the outsole, so that was definitely a no-go. Surprisingly, I found another pair of Adidas Ultra Boost 20s, this time in the pink colorway, but the outsole was worn all the way through, so definitely a no-go as well. Outsole wear is not something you can repair and is not worth trying to flip.
So Tom and I just finished hitting up East Village Thrift, which is a thrift store in the East Village.
It's in a basement.
It is in a basement, but there was a surprisingly good selection of sneakers. I was kind of impressed.
And DVDs.
And actually, yeah, and DVDs.
They had Marley and Me. They had holes.
They did have holes. I was actually interested in that. I was thinking about it, but I don't think they even have a DVD player anymore.
No, that's what I was like. I want to buy holes, and then I don't even own a TV.
You don't have a hole to put
DVD player.
But so I did end up picking up one pair of sneakers, and that was these Nike Infinity Runs or React Infinity Runs.
Cool.
They're pretty cool. It was 18 bucks, and they're in pretty good condition. There's not a huge amount of upside. I think they were selling for, at the low end, like 25 to 30, but at the high end, like 60. So there's potential for a decent amount of profit, but I'm not totally sure. The good news is no matter what, I don't think I'll lose money on them. So
I'm estimating 2 episodes from now, these sell for $37.
That's probably pretty accurate. Not bad for a day of thrifting.
Not bad.
Not bad.
But Seth, did you include your train tickets to get to New York? Because you need to include that in your net profit.
People did ask that about gas recently. And to be fair, I probably should, but I am counting this more as a business trip for other reasons, which I'm not gonna get into in the video. Okay, so that pretty much rounds off the day thrifting in New York City with Tom. Guys, if you want to check out Tom's channel, there'll be a link in the description below. Of course, dude.
So this has been an honor to be on the greatest series in YouTube history. I will treasure this. I will tell my children.
But that pretty much wrapped up the day of sneaker shopping in New York City. I was really happy with the pickups, and I was also really happy to find that the pair of Air Jordan 1 mids that I had from a couple weeks ago had ended up selling. Now, as you guys can see, they did sell for a loss. I lost 13 bucks, at least before fees and shipping and things like that. So after fees, I was able to add just $41 back into the sneaker collection fund, which, yes, is a loss of $19, but at least I was able to make some money back and I didn't lose the entire $60. So in addition to the sneaker fund, I also have 5 pairs of sneakers that are either already up for sale or will be up for sale in the next couple days. And those sneakers include the Adidas ZX 4000 4Ds that we picked up today for 30 bucks, the Nike Air Max Pluses that we picked up last week for 25 bucks, the Nike React Infinities, which we grabbed in the last part of this episode for $18, the Adidas NMDs, which actually sold, but then the buyer canceled, so that kind of sucks, and I got them for $20 originally, and the Pharrell Tennis Hues, which again I got for $20, and again a buyer flaked on me, so I kind of still have these in the collection, which kind of sucks. So at the end of today's episode, the total that we have in the sneaker collection fund is $420.94. We're just shy of $420.69, but it is what it is. You can't have everything. And honestly, I'm really excited about this upcoming week because now we have a lot of money to play with. We've got a lot of sneakers in stock, and I think we have a lot of potential to make even more money. Now, I would love to know your thoughts on the series so far and whether you'd like to see me travel to some other places and maybe collab with some more people to find some crazy sneakers. So make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.